To finish your zipper pencil pouch bag, you're going to turn it so it's inside out, like this, and you're going to zip it, but leave it so it's not all the way closed. Okay? Then you're going to fold it so that your zipper is right up at the top, just like this, and then you're going to put pins down the side. Now if you'd rather have your zipper on the side of your bag, you can fold it like this and have your stitching line be down on the side too. That's up to you. I'm going to have mine up at the top. I'm going to take some pins so that I know the edge of my fabric is going to stay right next to each other when I'm sewing. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And then when I sew, I'm going to make sure that I'm starting right next to where the edge of the zipper is, right next to the metal part. Now I don't want to sew actually on the metal, I want to sew next to it. And if you sew on the metal, you'll break your needle. Okay, now I can use my regular presser foot again for this one, so I don't need the zipper foot anymore. Okay, and I'm going to start by having my needle right next to where the metal is. And I'm just going to be sewing a straight line all the way down. So I'm going to backstitch. And I'm going to remove the pins. And when I'm sewing this, I want it to make sure that I'm going to be sewing straight with the same amount of seam allowance as where I started. But I want it to be next to the metal when I begin, and then wherever that ends up being is make sure that you keep it there the whole way so that you know it's going to be straight. Alright, when you get to the bottom, you backstitch. You can cut your threads, and then you want your seam allowance to only be 1/4 of an inch. We don't want it to be so much extra here. So you can measure or you can estimate if you know where 1/4 of an inch is, but then you're going to cut off the rest of your fabric. Okay, so I'm going to cut the fabric or trim it. Up the side, and I'm going to cut the zipper tape as well because that's just fabric also. Okay, so it's just a straight line. Then I'm going to do a zigzag finishing stitch all the way down the edge here. Okay, so I'm going to line up the middle or the edge of my fabric between the middle of my presser feet, right here between those two toes. Okay, and I'm going to change my stitch setting to number 8, and that will be my zigzag. And then when I sew, the needle is going to go on and off the edge of my fabric. So I'm going to go all the way up to the top, and it's finishing the edge for me. Backstitch at the end. I can take it out and cut my thread tails. And this side of my pencil pouch is complete. Okay, I will do the exact same thing to the other side. So I sew a straight line right next to where the metal is, trim it so I only have 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and then do a zigzag on and off the edge of my fabric. Okay, you should have left an opening so that you can flip it right side out, and then you're going to be done.